in this project, it almost sounds like the story comes to an end because he's spoken about, being an international immigrant and how he sees both sides of the story, like from living in Canada and what's going on in Zimbabwe.
Welcome to Jouska, the making and meaning behind the project by KTheChosen. If you think of the intro as the journey leaving home, there's literally planes, you can hear it as he does his world tour, and then the middle part of the project being that journey of that, him kind of going on different conquests and finding himself. 263 to 403 is the return home, because now I'm reflecting on what it means to be watching Zimbabwe from Canada, why I miss Zimbabwe, and why Zimbabwe is always home. So now that we've got the context and the idea behind the whole song, let's go into the lyrics and really break down what's happening in each verse.
What's crazy is my story is yours. A bunch of immigrants trying to make it abroad. If you made it this far, then applause is yours. It's a better look on the hook if you go off. Hey, hey, go off. Hey, hey, show off.
Opening line, I really like the fact that I was able to give you actual figures from how expensive it is and how much time it takes to get from Zimbabwe to Calgary. It's a long flight. 48 hours does include the layover, but it's expensive, like a $2,000 ticket. I think that is round trip though, so that would be to go and come back. But there's still a lot of money to drop on one trip. So yeah, it just kind of, I wanted to open up by saying that, I didn't come here easily. It's a lot. Like, it's pretty expensive and it's quite a trip. So it just kind of sets the tone by saying, like, this is no easy trip to take. For the longest time, I thought that I spoke in a way that would be understood by most people. But coming here, I realized, oh no, if I don't speak with an inflection or speak with an Americanized accent, my accent is very confusing, because I come from a country that was a British colony. So I actually speak with a British accent. So for people in North America, they don't actually get me unless I add an inflection. It's like, it's a literal truth. And remember, I was saying before that when you see a song that says Nomad, it's a song spoken from personal experience. So literally, when I used to work at one of my jobs as a cashier, unless I added an inflection when repeating people's orders, they had no idea what I was saying. So I'd go home at the end of the day and be thinking, wow, man, I have to try so hard for these people to understand me. And, you kind of lose yourself in that. It kind of chips away at your, not at your soul, but more at like your roots, your heritage, because, you're trying so hard to be understood that you can't really be yourself. And then this also reflects, or it kind of goes back to what was being said in the first verse of Mama, where for people of color, sometimes we try so hard to fit in, it becomes like a double-edged struggle where you're trying to be yourself at home, but because you're trying to be someone else outside of home, you kind of lose who you really are. And it's a struggle that a lot of people, I'm sure, can relate with or relate to, because anyone who's lived in Calgary knows that the weather changes in an instant. Like, you cannot check the weather forecast a week in advance, because you can check it 2 hours later and the whole thing has changed. It can go from snowing to hail to sunny to windy in a week. And that's not a joke. Like, we've literally had weeks where it hailed at the beginning, super sunny in the middle, snow in the middle, and like towards the end of it, and then back to normal on Sunday. It's so weird. So it's actually a conversation topic in Calgary, but it's also the same in Zimbabwe, where we have had such a struggle with our economic situation that we used to experience a lot of frequent power cuts, but they weren't even regular. They just go sometimes, stay other times. So, it was mind blacking out. So like, I can't think about things like they just cut off disaster, but it's also mine is temperamental as Calgary weather. So like, things coming in and out like the weather, like the electricity comes and goes whenever it pleases. So this is a good, it's foreshadowing for what's going to come in the second verse, because this is me mentioning Zimbabwe's economic situation, and that, we queue for fuel and sometimes it's just not available. And it's just a lot about the struggle that we experience as a people, and why one of the reasons why I've had to come to Canada to get a better education, because there's no future in my country, which is really sad. I'm like, what? How can I grow up in a country that I won't live in as an adult? And that's really what the hook talks about. What's crazy is my story is yours. A bunch of immigrants trying to make it abroad. If you made it this far, then applause is yours. It's a better look on the hook if you go off. And the whole idea is that, look, if you've come to this part of your story where you're reflecting on having left home and what that means for you and what you're trying to achieve for home, then this song is yours. Like, it's not just my story, it's yours, and it's a shared experience. And I want to be able to get you out of the sad part of that and just kind of celebrate it. To be like, look, if you made it this far, then there's obviously something that you're good at. You're talented, you're smart. Like, you don't leave the country to go and do nothing in another country. You must be excelling in something that you're doing in another country. And, you know, don't clap for me for making music. Clap for yourself because you as an immigrant made it this far. And clap for yourself too if you made it this far through the project. Because I'm like, this is the last song. It's a lot of topics going on. There's some songs that resonate with some people, some songs that don't. So if you're a real one and really broke down what was going down in each song, but also even if you didn't, just enjoyed it enough to listen to the end, then I appreciate you. And if you made it this far through the interview, through this series of behind the scenes, I appreciate you too. I appreciate you too. So I want you to, you know, clap for yourself. And it's funny because that's also just a thing that we say in Zimbabwe, like when kids do well, it's like, give yourself a little clap, give yourself a pat. So just applaud yourself. Like, you did this. You give yourself the credit that you deserve. And yeah, it's a bit of look on the hook if you go off. I'm like, come on. So we're here, celebrate what you're doing. Honestly, a song's hook always goes better when people like party, when they go hard, when they dance, when the song comes on. So I'm like, hey, go off, show off. Like, you made it this far, celebrate yourself, because if you don't do it, who will? So with that, we're going to the second verse, which again has a very strong opening, you know, cross arms like Danai in the land of Wakanda, Mono Motapa, we came here to conquer. So Danai Gurira is an amazing actress from Zimbabwe. So I'm like, yo, I'm claiming her. She's one of ours. But to make it big, you know, to really hit it like the jackpot in the movie industry, she's been on in Black Panther and The Walking Dead. She had to go to America. And that's what I'm talking about, where talented people end up being taken away from their home countries because there's no opportunities for them where they live. So for me, it was important to shout her out, to be like, look, there's so many talented people from our country that are doing big things. But it's even more important that I shout her out because Wakanda, which is the fictional land that the Black Panther lives and is based on, is actually based on a Zimbabwean kingdom called the Mutapa Kingdom, also known as Mono Motapa. So I'm like, you know, Nanai in the land of Wakanda, which is actually the fictional version of Zimbabwe, Mono Motapa came here to conquer. So like, us Zimbabweans, we're foreigners, but we've come here to conquer. This is actually our empire. So I thought that was like a really cool way to like, yo, look, I'm in Canada, but I'm here to conquer, man. I'm coming and bringing Zimbabwe. I'm putting Zimbabwe on the map for anyone who's out there listening to this. Like, we're here. Like, shout out, we're here. This was important because, again, I'm just shouting out to artists that have inspired me. So Wyclef Jean and Tyler the Creator both have songs that revolve around November. So that's Gone to November and just the song November by Tyler. But it's also an important month because November is a month where the people of Zimbabwe kind of had it and were tired of the government and decided to do a peaceful protest. Remember, in the first verse, I was talking about the economic struggles we're going through. And what happened was the people decided to march and there was a military coup and we actually got rid of our president who had been there since 1980. So that was a huge achievement for us. And it was peaceful. And that was the most important part. Zimbabwean people are super chill, super peaceful people. So for them to be protesting means they'd really, really had enough. So that's what I was saying. People in streets, peaceful protesters, but I'm in Canada, wish my family was safer. So I'm watching this from afar. I couldn't do anything but just hope that they were safe. But then what happened was a couple of months after that, there was an internet blackout. And people from Zim could not speak to anybody outside of the world. I couldn't WhatsApp call them. I couldn't do anything. And I'm just stressed. I'm like, yo, man, I don't know if my family's safe right now. And what was crazy is that obviously this passed and, you know, I've been able to keep in contact with them. There's been some political change, but not much. But the crazy thing that happened was that a year later, the same thing happened in Sudan. The people got tired and there were massacres that happened and the people tried to speak out about it and the whole country's internet was cut. And I don't know, that just resonated so deeply with me because it had literally just happened in my own country. And that's what the rest of the verse is about. You realize, Africa, we are one. You know, we're one in corruption, one in assumptions, one in the prayers and the hopes of salvation. Like, we're trying to elevate as a people, elevate as a continent. But the problems of not having the right leaders, not having the right education, not having the right resources are not being fixed because all our smart people are leaving. Everyone who's talented ends up going to another country. And it's like, well, not that everyone who was left behind does not have the potential, but it's like all the world-renowned people do not live in their countries of origin. So going back to the idea of, me being out here in Canada saying I'm here to conquer, then I grew up being in the States, we're doing amazing things, but it's like, well, we do kind of need to go back and help our people back there, because if we keep exporting all of this, all this talent is being given to other countries. At the end of the day, you end up saying, I'm a Canadian rapper. You end up saying Danai is an American actress, and I think it's just a sad reality to be like, look, we all know what the problem is, but, if we're the solution, we can't fix it if we're all overseas. We obviously can help from a distance, but it'll make even more and greater impact if we do it from home or find a way to support home more directly, which is something that Danai Greer is really well known for doing. She's got a lot of projects that she does to help wildlife in Zimbabwe, which I truly appreciate. She's amazing. If you can't tell now, I'm a big fan of hers. So if she ends up seeing this, hi Danai.